I'm Don Schumacher, and this is the first video in a series that I'm going to call Pathways to Success in Sport Tourism Post-COVID-19. I've had 40 years experience myself in the industry, everything from managing facilities, a major arena, stadiums, small and large, bidding on events, small and large, but over 40 years with 25 of them as executive director of the National Association of Sports Commissions. I guess I can say I've been around, and I'd like to be able to share with the community that we created through the National Association some tips that occur to me to be useful in this post-COVID-19 sport tourism situation we find ourselves in today. In many respects, I think 2019, the calendar year 2019, will be regarded as the high watermark in sport tourism in the United States. And it's likely to be some time before we see that level of business again. Not 2021. It's going to take longer than that. I'm not going to get into how much longer because we still don't know enough about this virus to realize all of its characteristics. But it's going to take time, and it's going to take a focus on the athletes and their families and the officials and the people involved in the event, much like it was back in the 80s when sports commissions were bidding on events and focusing on the quality of the competition for the athletes. It was always about the athletes back then. Now it has to be about the athletes again. That's going to increase costs. It's going to increase the amount of time, the amount of labor that goes into hosting events. And it's going to make it necessary for the people selling their destination to event owners to understand the operational aspects of the events. And that's a new world for many people on the sales side. Now, regrettably, as a result of COVID-19 and the reduction in collection in hotel motel taxes and the lack of budgetary assets, people have lost their jobs and communities have dropped out of the industry. So it's going to be a new ballgame as we move along. But we created a community, we created a family through the National Association. And as far as I'm concerned, families stick together. And they stick together through the thick, which we've enjoyed, and the thin, which regrettably we're experiencing today. 2020 is clearly going to be a year where we're going to be at 20% or 25% of last year. It's just the way it is. And with these increased costs, we have to be mindful of the fact that we're still focused on safety and still focused on safe competition. And the COVID-19 requirements have just exacerbated the situation. So over a series of videos, we're going to talk about what communities can do to be more effective hosts and get still a good share of this business on a going forward basis. And I think in many respects, we're going to be talking about the right sizing of the industry post-COVID-19. How many communities, how many events, how many opportunities will there be? And what will we discover that will make it a different business? Because it is going to be a different business for almost all of us. There have been some very exciting things done on the operational side already with innovative ways to sanitize facilities, help keep people separate, help encourage best practices in every respect. But what's happening is so much of the new growth in events is coming from local events. That's great because it opens the door of sports facilities and turns the lights back on and gets the activity flowing. For the sport tourism industry, of course, that's not so great because we're going to start local in many respects. Now, there are events that are traveling in 2020, make no mistake about it, and some of you have already hosted very successfully events that do bring large numbers of people into your community. But I would ask you, were there 75 teams this year and 100 teams last year for that event? Were there 125 teams this year versus 150 last year? I think those are the kinds of things that we're going to have to deal with on an ongoing basis. So, this is video number 1. It simply sets the stage for an opportunity for us to visit together and develop as professionals an entirely new set of skills that are going to be necessary. I think there's an opportunity in our industry, in the sport tourism industry, to emphasize professional education again and do it in a disciplined, mindful manner that will allow each one of us to grow as individuals and professionals. I'm very pleased that you had the opportunity to see this first video, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again shortly. Thanks.